Hello, hello. Here we
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. I've had a very busy weekend, but I'm very, very good. I'm very excited to be back on here.
Yep, me too. Me
I
too.
like these little lives.
Yeah. And just
Hello to
sharing in.
everybody.
Yeah. Are you I'm just waiting to see if anyone's jumping in our chat to say hello. So if anyone's out there, please say hello to us. We'll
Oh,
know that
hello,
you're there.
Amanda.
Hello, Amanda. Hello, lovely.
Hi,
Oh,
Karen.
Karen. Karen,
And
I
you,
loved watching what you were up to last night. And gosh, I love your
Glenn.
laugh. Your laugh makes me laugh so much.
I've missed you, Amanda. It feels like 100 years since I've seen you. I'll catch up with you on Sunday. Hi, Robin.
Hi, Roberta.
How are you?
So no, that's all. That's lovely. We're just giving it a few moments for people to start jumping in and realizing that we're live, and we're
Hi,
just
Gail.
having a general chat. Just catching up on the weekend. So, Annie, you had a really busy weekend.
Oh, yes. I did a workshop today, which was absolutely amazing. It was really, really good fun. This is with an organization called Inspired Events, and Haley McLeod is the coordinator, and she does things, mostly it's for single ladies. So check out her website, Inspired Events, and she organizes events all over Brisbane. So she does things like um, puppy events where you can get all your puppies' pictures taken. And I've done tarot for her and I've done numerology for her. And she's doing paint and sip. And she's also doing hot yoga. I don't understand that
Ah.
one. You can do that in your garden. It's Queensland for you. But she's doing hot yoga. And I said, no, that one's not for me. Every single cent, she doesn't take any money for it. Every single cent that she gets, sometimes she has to pay a venue. If she does it in the loft or if she does it in some of the venues around town, she has to pay the venue, but she doesn't take any of the money from it. All the money goes to a range of different charities. So
Oh,
some of it
wow.
is her SPCA,
Yep.
some of it is, there's a whole range of them. She does domestic violence. She does that orange sky, blue sky, the ones that are help feed the homeless.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got the van that does the laundry and all that kind of stuff. So homeless people can take their clothes and they've got the washing machines and dryers.
So
So,
nice.
oh, it's amazing. So, and you get to meet a whole lot of new people. They were lovely today. Like they were really, really good fun. Hi, Les.
Hi,
Um,
Les.
so check out Inspired Events if you've got nothing to do on a weekend, because nearly all our stuff is on a weekend. Um,
Yeah.
it's my little tiny way of contributing, because I all the money I get, I don't take any payment for it. I just do it for fun. And
Yeah.
and then people will come back. I've had people come
Mhm.
back to like other workshops because they've come to one. So I mean, it's just one of these community engagement things. So yeah, check out her
Yeah.
website. And she's I'm a bit biased here because she's Scottish, so you know but yeah, she's lovely.
Yeah. So, thanks, Karen. Appreciate the share. So if this is the first time you've joined us, please, maybe think about, if you can, subscribe to our page, comment on here, but also comment in comments under the video. That really helps us grow our little soul tribe family community. So we really appreciate that. And we love chatting with everyone as we sort of share Well, I guess what we would normally do, except not normally on live stream. So, so this has been an interesting journey for us just to rattle on the way Annie and I normally do, and share it with all of you lovely people, which is awesome.
Okay, so tonight we're talking about synchronicity. Synchronicity for me is just really about coincidences. And sometimes Kerrie and I had a wee chat about synchronicity the other day just by accident. It was a coincidence, so we just happened to be talking about it. But sometimes it's easier to actually look back and see in hindsight what the coincidences were. And one of the things about that sort of stuff for me is because of what I do and because I'm reading cards, all of a sudden, all the people that are coming to see me are all saying, hearing, and feeling the same stuff. And the first couple of times it happened, I just thought, ooh, that's interesting. But once I actually started thinking about it, the other thing it made me do was because they were all saying the same things, instead of just doing normal, my ordinary tarot reading with my 27 packs of tarot cards, I started using Rebecca Campbell's, which is Live Your Light, because people were sort of talking about, I'm feeling that I'm being called to do something, and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And it is the Celestine Prophecy, Les. And so I started using her cards, and a lot of it was don't dim to fit in, and it's time to step up.
Yeah.
And it's time to let go of that which doesn't serve you. And
Yeah.
a lot of the cards and people were getting all the same cards, and it just kept coming up the same stuff. And a lot of it was about, you're not doing this alone, gather your tribe, all that kind of stuff. And one of the other ones that kept coming up was, how do you mother yourself? And then forget the past. Don't let past life stuff up where you're at now. And interestingly enough, Karen, I'm going to dob you in here. Interestingly enough, I was having a conversation with Karen, and for her, a past life card came up. And one of the things I said to her was, sometimes we're scared to step into this stuff because of what's happened to us before. And I said, we've all been witches, for want of a better word, at some point in our life. And after I'd said that to Kerrie didn't know that. So the next thing that happened was I was talking about the gathering, which is on a monthly on a Sunday night. And I said, all my witchy girls. And the next thing that Kerrie said to me was, I think we were all in the same coven in a former life. And I thought, for the love of goodness, it was just, and I went, okay, I can work with that. So, yeah, I'm going to get a great big cauldron for the next gathering, and we can just all throw herbs in it and stir it and see what happens. But it's that soul group.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've found really weird is that
look at that coincidence.
The Celestine Prophecy, another coincidence.
Yeah, reading it right now. There you go, Gail.
Yeah. My husband and I, before I even knew who he was, I was in WA from 1986 to 1988. So I was in Geraldton. And Paul used to come down to Geraldton with the Vision Club between 1986 and 1988. In 1988, I moved to Sydney. So I was in Narrabeen because I'm poshing up myself. And Paul was in the western suburbs because he's not. He was in Richmond. But for the same 2 years, 88 to 90, we were both in Sydney. And when we actually I moved in 90 to Brisbane, and I was in Greenslopes. And Paul got deployed back to Amberley, and he was in Ipswich. And we had never seen each other, never bumped into each other. didn't even know we existed. But I got a job here and Paul came to work with me. And it was just, he was straight out of the Air Force. And that's how we got together. So we worked together for a while before we actually got together. And then because I'm this crazy witchy woman, I dragged, and he was the most skeptical person in the whole universe. He just used to look at me and go,
Yeah.
I dragged him off. I said to him, I'm going to see a psychic. Do you want to come? So we toddled off and we both got read together, and he wasn't getting a reading. It was just me. And she kept saying, I can't separate you two. Like, will you please go and sit in that corner because I'm trying to read for her, and stuck him in the corner.
Intertwined.
Yeah, just so linked. And she
Yeah.
said, you two were supposed to meet. She said, without knowing anything about us, she said, you two were supposed to meet in Sydney, but she wasn't ready. And that's really true, because at that point I was with somebody else. And there was no way I would have engaged with Paul, met Paul, known Paul.
Yeah.
And even if I'd met him, I wouldn't have had anything to do. And she said that. She said, there was no way you two were going to get together then. You know, because I was just immature. I needed to grow up.
And universal timing, Annie. You know, it's all part of what are we meant to learn, to bring to the table before we're ready for that next part of the journey.
Yeah. I mean, I had to go, I had a process that I had to go through before I actually got there. And she sort of said, you two were doomed. Like, you were always going to meet. And the next thing she said was, are you aware that you two have been together previously? And I said, yes. And I had already told Paul that. And at one point, he was my big brother. And I had this vision of him in this wee blue jacket and like pantaloons. And I was in this frock with frills and a like princess line frock. And I was only a little girl and I had ringlets. And he was supposed to be looking after me. And I drowned. We were out playing. I fell in the water and I drowned. And I told him all this. And then the next vision I had was that I was his mother. And that we were in it was like in a war zone, and I couldn't feel him. And at that point, he died. And this lady kind of said, well, you two have got unfinished business. So that's why you got yourself together again, you know. And so much stuff has happened in our lives where the universe has sat us somewhere. And until after the fact, you know, I haven't realized that we got put here for a reason.
Well, even with you and I, Annie, right? So, you know, I worked for TAFE for 17 odd years. You know, you were with TAFE for a very long time. When the TAFEs amalgamated, we worked for the same TAFE, right? But we still didn't really cross paths on that journey because where we worked and the circles in which we worked were slightly different, right? And then time goes on. We all sort of moved on from that TAFE environment into the private world of RTOs. And Colleen, a lovely Colleen, who's on here tonight, right, said, I've got the perfect person for this RTO that was building a new faculty area that was, you know, community services and everything that you are, and brought you into that role, right? Right. Then she suggested that you come to me for a reading, right? So we actually, the first time we really met, even though there was connections prior to that, was when I did that reading for you, which was a whole other experience, and absolutely lovely at the end of it that you actually gave me a little bit of validation of what I told you, because it's, you know, not often that you get some good validation of what you've brought through. You just got to trust what you're getting. And then from there, I ended up going and working from that same organisation and became the best of friends, like I'd known you my entire life.
Yeah.
You know, and found that we had so many synchronicities and parts of our journey that were the same but different, you know, so that we had this ability to talk to each other and go, yeah, I was just doing that, or I just, like, even down to the 12th Insight book, right? So, you know, when I think about that 12th Insight book, and I had seen it and thought, right, I need to read these books, couldn't find my old ones, went online, found that 12th Insight book and ordered it, right? And then you message me and go, look what I'm reading, and send me the first page of the book. And I can't believe it. I just ordered that, you know. So the timing of what we do and that sync, right? But here's the key in my mind is that we recognize it.
Yeah.
We actually go, okay, this is not just a coincidence, you know. And if you want to go, okay, what does that term synchronicity mean? It means a meaningful coincidence, you know, like there's something there where you have to stop and recognize and go, hang on a minute, that's more than just crazy chance. That is a flow of a universe bringing things together at the same time, bringing us back on the same page at the same time. Because in sharing with each other what we are taking out of that book, that conversation is one where we go, well, I got this and I got this, and we're raising each other's understanding and level. But had we not taken that moment to recognize the coincidence, we could have missed a great opportunity in reawakening ourselves to things that we already know and recognize, hey, we've already been doing all of these things without connecting it with that pathway. And that helped us go, hang on a minute, that's exactly what we've been doing.
Yeah.
That to me is like that crazy synchronicity happening at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. My grandma used to say there's no such thing as a coincidence. And I just used to kind of think, what does she mean? But what's interesting for me is that, you know, people flick into your life for a reason. You know, if you meet someone and connect with them, it's always for a reason. And some people come for a season, a reason, or like once you've met them, they're there forever. And sometimes it's that person who might need something from you.
Yep.
And sometimes it's you that might need the lesson from that person. But there's always, if you do connect, there's always a reason. Like Amanda, who's actually on here at the moment, my very, very first market in my very, very first tent was at Forest Lake. And Amanda and her friend Emily came, and they were two of my very, very first readings when I was so excited, but I was just, very, very much a beginner in that realm. And
Yep.
I'd been playing with tarot cards, but I hadn't been doing it professionally. And when we kind of met and I did the reading, they decided that I was doomed and they were going to be with me forever. So we're now 3 years down the track and we're still friends. And they came to me for a reason. Now, Amanda's saying it was always meant to be that night, but what they don't understand is that they were a giant step in my personal journey because I got the validation from both of them and I read separately and like again never had seen them in my whole entire life. And it was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So they won't understand what that did for my confidence. It was like, ooh, I'm right.
Yeah.
When this is you've chucked your job and you're doing this full time and this is your first go at it. It's so wonderful to get that feedback back, and like I say, we've been friends ever since, and that's glorious. And again, like talking with Amanda and sharing like her skill set with me, and Emily has a different skill set, but I learned so much from both of them, and then they come to our classes and I'm assuming that they learn stuff from me too, but it's just there's always reasons.
That
And
interaction.
Yeah. But sometimes people get bent out of shape when people then move forward or leave. But they've got what they needed.
at
or
that
you
point in
at
time.
that point.
You know, and I know you've said this so many times before, and I'm going to prompt you to say it again. You know, when the person's ready, Annie.
Yes. When the teacher is ready, the pupil appears, or
With
when the pupil is ready, the teacher appears. And that's
exactly.
happened to me all the way through my life
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
various stages. You know,
Yeah.
there's just been bits and bits where
Yeah.
somebody's popped in. And you know when it usually is? It's usually when I'm working at TAFE or in a
Mm-hmm.
proper job somewhere. That was when it
Yeah.
used to happen. When I
Happen.
got
Yeah.
grounded and
Yep.
forgot.
Someone's going to come in and reconnect you right back
Yeah,
to where was your path meant to be. You
yeah,
know, that's the thing.
very much
Um,
when you get grounded and
Les,
called down.
that's a really interesting question, Les, because I did sort of laugh the other day and said, "Oh my gosh, you know, we're probably part of the same coven," and whether you want to call it that or not, but because you know, being a witch has this connotation of black magic and casting spells on people, and that's very, very far from the space that we work in. It's far from wanting to control or put you know a spell on somebody's life. It's actually the complete opposite of that. It's about empowerment and health and ascension and a whole range of other things, and you can term it in multiple different ways. So, and I think, you know, there was a lot of women. I mean, there were shamans that did sort of the same thing. There was a lot of women that worked with herbs and natural remedies and other ways of healing that was possibly seen as witchcraft at that
Yeah,
particular time. And in answer to, do you think that you and Annie were in a previous life together? I just had complete goosebumps and every hair raised on the top of my arm. So I don't believe this is the first time that we've done this together. And I also really believe that in us moving through this journey for several years, like me sort of stepping back out of it for a while, Annie stepping back into it and putting me back into it. At the same time, while we're out of it, I'm saying to Annie, but you know, you can do this. Why aren't you doing this? We were both able to re-empower each other not to be afraid, to trust the instinct and what we're getting. And I think that is because of that past life connection where you can be a bit afraid if you were persecuted in the past and you've brought that back into this lifetime now. When you get too into it, you feel like, oh, I'm going to be persecuted or it's all going to go wrong. And we've done a lot, I think, over the years to sort of push each other back. Sometimes it was a shove and a kick, wasn't it, Annie? But, you know, I know you shoved and kicked me recently and said, that's it.
I think the connotation in the term witches was very patriarchal, and
Mm,
it was the only way they had. I mean, nowadays with our new thinking, they would have been branded as healers or light workers or whatever, you know. But back then, it was just perceived as they were whether they were male healers because were also males who were healers as well as females.
absolutely.
You know, it's not
Absolutely.
this is not a female domain. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that that was just a name that was given. And one of the
Mm,
things about that is because when you have as a female in these times the
mm-hmm.
ability to help people because there was no
Mm-hmm.
blooming modern medicine back then, you know, it was herbs and spells, if you want to call it that, where people put stuff
Yeah.
together. And
Yeah.
like even in the Indian culture, they use natural stuff to pack wounds and right back to maggots to
Mm-hmm.
eat flesh. But
Yeah.
people were frightened of that stuff.
Yeah.
So automatically there was this brand stuck on your head.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, like people who do Reiki and people who do natural healing and people who do light therapy and aromatherapy, that's all acceptable
Mm-hmm.
now. Whereas
Yeah.
back then, it was men were frightened. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of that, God forbid, give me for saying that, but a lot of that was churches who had all the power,
Yeah.
who didn't want to share that power with women or any of that kind of stuff
That.
because it was
Yeah.
all very male orientated. So
Yeah.
it's not a
I know.
coincidence that they were
Like
persecuted.
I still, I very much in this lifetime, and I believe in other previous lifetimes that I've had, I have had a very strong connection to, say, the church, and also to Jesus and to the Bible and my personal relationship with God. I did step away from the Catholic Church because, and it was actually following my confirmations. They talk about, series of synchronicities. I was questioning it because I'm sort of saying, well, I had a confirmation and you're blessed with these gifts of the Holy Spirit, right? But then you're told not to use them because it's wrong. But it came in naturally at that point. And so I had to reconcile a whole lot of things and turning to the Bible. But to me, Jesus was the greatest clairvoyant of all time, right?
Yeah.
The greatest healer of all time. He really showed us the way, and also said that we will go on to do far more than he could do because he was only here for a short period of time. And even with reincarnation, I see that in the Bible too, because there's, and I'm going to say the wrong mountain, but Jesus spoke to Elijah and Moses on the mountain. When he came down, the apostles asked him, wasn't Elijah meant to return to earth to pave the way for Jesus Christ to come, or the Christ to come? And he said he did. You just didn't recognize him. And I just went, well, bingo, he's referring to John the Baptist. So Elijah's spirit reanimating, living that life as John the Baptist to pave the way for Jesus. And there's reincarnation right there. So I guess my interpretation of it is quite different, perhaps to a traditional interpretation of it. But again, it's about my personal relationship. And I'm not telling people what to believe or not to believe in themselves, because you need to listen to yourself and understand what feels right for you personally as to what sits right. That's sort of where I came from. Been getting back to this sort of synchronicity, because I know sort of time-wise, I know a few people are probably keen for us to answer a few questions for them too, because we did promise that tonight, Annie. I was just going to share a synchronicity that actually saved my life. And when I was younger and I had my first son, Daniel, my sister Kathy had not long had her first daughter, Rochelle. And something that we'd always wanted to do and got to do at that point was have our children in their prams and in their strollers and go shopping together as sisters, and we were really excited about doing that. So we had done that this day, and we'd gone up to, we were in Sydney at the time, so we'd gone up to, equivalent to the big Westfield, right? Actually, it could have even been called, it is Westfield there as well. So we'd gone up to Westfield and we'd stopped and had a coffee, and, we had our prams pushing together along the road. And just before we were getting one street from our street where our parents lived, which is where we were heading because we were there at that time, we crossed the road, got to the other side, and both of us stopped walking at exactly the same time. And I looked at her and said, "Why did you stop walking?" And she said, "I was going to ask you the same thing." So in that moment, we recognize that that's really strange, that we both stopped at exactly the same time. And her husband, who was actually coming to pick her up after work at the end of that day, was at the next crossroad, ready to drive across the road and up to our parents' place. And he had his music in his car playing really loudly. And I just remember that the song that was playing as he went through was "Stop in the Name of Love." And we laughed at that because we both stopped. We both just asked each other why you stopped. And then he drives through half a block with his music blaring, and all we hear is "Stop in the Name of Love." And so we laughed and went, that's really strange. Next thing you know, a car coming along the street, another car's come out the crossroad. They've had an accident. The car's flipped and landed meters away from us when it finished skidding on that footpath. Had we have kept walking and had we have moved forward at all, either we would have been hit, the kids most definitely would have been hit because they were in the prams in front of us, and maybe all of us would have been cleaned up. And yet, when you think back on it, your natural instinct, if she saw her husband crossing, oh, yeah, look, I'll speed up so I can meet him outside the front. We'll walk a bit quicker before he goes inside, parks and goes inside. But we didn't. We just actually made us stop even longer. Now, if it hadn't been for that intervention, who knows what could have happened. And so I'm a big believer in, thank goodness, one, we stopped, two, that we recognised it and we questioned each other and we laughed about the additional synchronicity of the music that was blaring at that time, because that saved us from a potentially terrible situation. The other side of that is it divine intervention? We were not meant to go through that experience, whatever that may have been at that time, or lose the kids or pass away. That was not meant for us to not be here at that point in time. So therefore, all of those synchronicities happened to prevent that. And was it divine intervention? So I don't know. I'll leave that one to you guys. Was it synchronicity? Was it divine intervention? Don't know.
I'm glad.
Thank you.
I'd been heartbroken. But I think the important thing about the synchronicities is that you actually notice it and you don't just dismiss it as a coincidence, and you actually stop and think, okay, what was that about? And what am I supposed to be seeing? Or what's the next message? Because it's all baby lessons, So once you start to recognize them, then it sort of compounds.
Yeah.
Because if you just dismiss it or think it's deja vu, then, it's gone. It's
lost
just gone.
opportunity. Yeah, lost opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the speed at which things happen. So once you recognize a synchronicity and you go, okay, that's interesting. And it could be as simple as, I wonder whether I should do this or this. And then suddenly, you'll see something that gives you the next little bit of information and you recognize, oh, that's interesting. Then the next thing you know, the next bit of information comes in and then the next bit of it. So you're actually building on it. But if you ignore it in that first instance, it actually stops the flow. So I also think there's a way where the more that we recognize the synchronicity and what's happening with us, like recognize, hang on, this is a message from the universe. This is a signpost around confirming I'm on the right path, or confirming I'm, thinking about the right things or moving in the right direction, or it is a sign for me not to move in that direction, But if we miss it, then the synchronicity stops flowing as well.
There's a couple that are really common. For me, every time I look at my watch, it's 11:11 or 4:44 or 5:55 or 6:66. And all of these recurring numbers. So nearly everybody gets that one. And, like if it's a 4:44, that's an angel number. So that's confirmation that your angels are with you. If it's a 5:55, things are about to change. So, get yourself ready. If it's a 6:66, yes, you're in balance. So these numbers are all really meaningful, 111222555. Yeah, they're all really meaningful numbers.
Yeah. Just by the way, everyone, just in case you missed it in chat, Mark is actually Gail who rejoined us because there must have been a problem with her sound wherever she was, or that connection. Is that right, Gail?
Yeah.
It's not Mark, it's Gail. So I'll let everyone know.
Not Mark. Not Mark, not Mark.
No, not Mark, the other way around. Yeah, very funny. Another synchronicity, see? Yeah, but those numbers are incredible. And we've had some amazing numbers, just in the last, if you think, we talked about the numbers and synchronicity at solstice, right? And then, we've just had, 2101, 2021, and that was like almost another gateway opening. And if you look at the Schumann resonance, the Earth's resonance just went crazy at that time. So the synchronicity of recognizing those numbers and the messages that we're trying to get through from seeing that is just another level of, I need to connect into the flow of the universe, and I'm being shown a certain direction, and this is my pathway. And yeah.
Nate
And
has
Les,
just asked. Nate's
yep, go
just
ahead.
asked if we can put up the meanings of the numbers, and people are putting up. I've had 111. I've had this. I've had that. So
Yeah.
we'll put up the basic meanings of the numbers. We'll stick it up on our Facebook pages.
Yep.
I'll get onto that tomorrow, and I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are triple numbers, so the 111s or 222s, and like there's so many angel
Mm-hmm.
numbers or whatever they choose to call them, that if you do get numbers like somebody's, I think it was Amanda, 1010, it's
Mm-hmm.
really, if you're seeing it all the time, if you just type in angel numbers 1010, it'll come up. But I'll do
Yes.
the
Yeah.
the most common
The
ones
main.
and what they
Yep.
actually mean, because it's
Yep.
near,
Main
for
one.
me it's usually about confirmation. Like if I'm dithering, or if I'm thinking, I don't know if I should do this, I'll
Mm-hmm.
get the numbers that say you're on the right track, or you're not doing this by yourself, we are with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, or if there was numbers that said wake up to yourself, I would get them a lot.
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know so
Yep.
it's usually confirmation that,
Yeah.
okay, you're not doing this by yourself, your guides and angels are with you, or whatever.
Mm. And I know Les asked a question before. He said, "Why is he seeing Kathy, which is our sister, in me tonight?" She always comes in pretty close when I'm talking about her, and she's also been around a bit recently, which is also a bit of another synchronicity too, because I had a dream about her where I was with her, and I gave her a big hug, and we sort of had a bit of a laugh about how vibrant her energy was, but I couldn't feel any skin on her bones. Like there was there was no flesh to her bones. I sort of gave her a hard time that she needed to eat more. But this was all in a dream. Then the next morning I was sitting outside and I was thinking, having a cup of coffee, and I was thinking, well, that's interesting, because I know there was more to that conversation before I said goodbye, but what I really remember is the hug, and the energy exchange at that point. And I was trying to remember what the dream was. And all of a sudden, this kookaburra just came down and sat on my balcony and just started looking at me. And I said, "Oh, hello, how are you this morning?" Now, there is significance to the kookaburra, because my sister did an amazing kookaburra call. She just was really great at it. She imitated them really well, to the point that she was on the radio one time in a competition for bird calls, and made it to the grand final and won herself a 1/4 ounce of gold in the grand finals, because a kookaburra call was, so we always called her Kathy Kookaburra. So the significance of me sitting there thinking about what was it that was more in this dream, and this kookaburra came and went, "Yeah, you better damn well think about it," because we exchanged a lot of information last night. So again,
We've
just
just
another.
now
Oh, excellent. That's lovely, Nate.
now again, what's the significance of that? Where are we in terms of dates? Because if she's been with you and she's been with Nate and Les, is there an anniversary? Is there birthdays? Is there, because it's not coincidence, is there something that you guys need to talk about or know or whatever? So don't just dismiss it. So think
No.
about your dates, your anniversaries, what's important about this time of year,
Mm-hmm.
particularly around the fact that she was in your dad's room. So think about that as well, birthdays, anniversaries, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or significance of some anniversaries, significance of some kind, because she's
Yes.
obviously visiting, and that could be your brothers. I don't know, I don't know your
Yeah,
dates.
well, yeah, look, Les's birthday is the 6th of February, so that's not too far off. I'm February as well, which is not too far off. But Kathy, for me, when I really, she was a healer, a natural healer, and very good with that energy and laying of hands healing. So to me, it's almost like when I feel her around, it's like she's saying, I'm going to help you balance your energy, like your energy. And I know that I do get the highs and lows being very empathic, right? That come with that Schumann resonance and other things that are going around. And I'm still working in two spaces, my very spiritual space and then a very corporate space. Sometimes the energy between those is so far apart from each other that trying to synchronize yourself in the middle of that becomes like a roller coaster. So I know even the hug for me in the dream was around a balancing of my energy and learning to work with the flow of those energies rather than resist the different flows of those energies. So look, and it can be totally different. Again, even though there's the family links, totally different for you, Nate, and for Les. Like, is she there for a different meaning? What does she represent to you, or what message could that actually be? And of course, it can be birthdays, can be anniversaries, letting you know that she's well and she's around and she knows what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So, have we got questions? If you've got a yes or no question, Kerrie will do her divining rods.
Now,
If you've, there she goes.
I might have to, sorry guys, I just wanted you to be able to see them. And actually, Annie, before we do it, I just want to show people that with divining rods, you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there's a barrel. I'm trying to see it in the camera. See how it's like this bit here is actually a separate barrel that goes into this outer piece that moves separately. So when you're using them, you're actually holding this outer barrel and it's free. Oh, look, I'm doing a terrible job with my camera, aren't I? It's free moving inside that, if you see that. So even if I turn this, it doesn't turn this. All right? It's just an interesting way of looking at it. But if you ever get a chance to use them, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about with that. So if you're holding them still with the barrel in the middle, then you're going to get something that's perfectly still. And even if I sort of, I'm doing different things, you're not really getting a lot of movement in them. So they're just going to stay here, as opposed to when you actually ask a question, and I will ask my angels and guides if they will come in and work with me now, and we'll bring through some messages. So there you go. We'll put it over to anyone that asks a question, and Annie's going to pull some cards for you. So let's see.
Now, while you're coming up with questions, we might have to have a chat because we have a delayed reaction. Oh, and Amanda, this is for you, Kerrie. Mm-hmm. Is this my year to meet Mr. Right?
Okay. So, Spirit, just going to say, please go wide for yes and cross for no. And we're asking for Amanda. Is this the year for her to meet Mr. Right? Big response, please. Big response so that she can see. Oh, look at that, Amanda. Can you see that? They've gone all the way behind me. So they're giving me a very strong yes with that. You are actually going to meet someone this year. And if I'm going to connect in through the visuals, that they're actually, you are going to be meeting this person. It's going to be through a friendship group that they actually come in. It's going to be in somewhere where you're actually in a group situation and you'll meet this person through that group situation. You're actually going to find that they are very aligned with you in their pathway and in their morals and values, and that's going to be important to you. So I'll leave that. Oh my gosh, they're still tapping me on the shoulders for this. Thank you, Spirit. Can you bring it back? Bring it back to the center. Thank you.
Amanda, I pulled 2 cards around this. The first card I got was New Opportunities, and the second card I got was Dreams Coming Through. Dreams Coming True. And if you have a look, what I do is I spread all my cards out, and then I shut my eyes and I just go to hover until I feel the pull of a card. So these are the two that I got. So New Opportunities and Dreams Coming True. So that's also validation for what Kerrie said. Goosebumps. We like goosebumps. Karen wants to know if she will go to Melbourne in May. Kerrie, yes or no to Melbourne in May?
Okay. Spirit, Karen, will she be going to Melbourne in May? Oh, Karen, I'm getting a no for May. Okay, so let me just take it out again, please. Thank you. Will Karen be going to Melbourne within the next 6 months? So it looks like it may not be May, but 6 months, within 6 months, they're saying to me. So it could be April, June. Oh, no. Oh, God. Within the next 6 months, I asked, and you said yes. Not April? What about June? Tell me about June. Okay, June. It's not going to be April. They're saying June. Okay, Annie, over to you.
Karen, courage to let go. So for me, that is saying it's all about timing. It's about, well, one of your lessons in this life, because I know you really well, is patience, and you're not very good at it. You're a yesterday person, but it's about letting go of expectations and having the courage to step into who you need to be. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what it's saying.
Mm-hmm. And Annie, that's spot on with what I was saying as they were giving me that response as well. So the images, Karen, that I saw during that time was that they're asking you to trust in universal timing, that everything happens at the right time and the right place, and there's a reason for this delay. So they're asking you, instead of the frustration, to trust the flow of the universe.
Kerrie, Colleen's asking if she'll survive financially when she loses her job.
Okay. I'll let you go with the cards, I think, on this one. I'm going to ask the rods at the same time. So
Oh dear, you're going to love this call. What it says here is you need to get rid of any guilt that you feel around this and the financial situation. It also says there's going to have to be some compromise around this. And the third one is projections. Now, with this card, for me, the projections are always, you can take two sides. You can think, oh my God, I'm so used to having a salary come in. I don't know what I'm going to do. What if this? What if that? What if the other? And if that's your focus, because you attract what you put out, then it will be problematic. Whereas
yep.
with the projections, if you flip it and think, okay, so, I'm going to be okay. And what are the opportunities that I can come up with? So if I did this, I could do that, or I could do this, or I could do the other. And then positive expectations. Just assume that it's going to be okay. But by the same token, there might have to be some compromise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense?
So, and Cole, this went to, it went to a, and it's doing it again. It went to a yes, you will be okay. And what I heard in my mind is the simple answer. The simple answer is yes. And funny because I knew that you needed to give that longer explanation, Annie, with it. But again, it's the same thing, you know. There's, and I've said this to you before, Colleen, because it's been an inspired conversation. Is that you are refining where your passion is and where your pathway lies. So it's about that. Yeah.
I've just pulled cards. Oh, for goodness sake. I'm going to pull one more. Okay. Les, will my business sell this year? That was the question I asked. The very first card I pulled, completion. I would say yes, it will. Second card, intensity. Let it go, let it flow. When you get to the point of, I so much, and I do this all the time, I just want this and I want it now. And blah, blah, blah. And your head kicks in. Just let it go and let it flow because I've got completion. Now, I haven't got timing on that. If I did a proper layout, I would maybe be able to give you, Kerrie might be able to help you with that one. This card is one of my favorites. It's about ordinariness. And it's a picture of it's just a paddock with somebody out with a basket gathering, you know, stuff from the paddock and things. And a lot of people think ordinary is boring. But for me, ordinary is not big highs and not big lows, just time to relax, time to de-stress, time to let go. And that comes around with that completion. This card is also, it's a jigsaw. So with this card, it feels like the final part of the jigsaw is just about being put in place. So just let it go and don't stress. And it according to the cards, we've got completion. It's going to be okay. Kerrie?
And completion, will that be in the first quarter of this year? Okay. That's a no to first quarter. Thank you. Will it be in the second quarter of this year? So between March and June? I'm feeling a pull on this. I'm just closing my eyes, let the flow. So they're talking a time frame between March and April, May, June. April? Just give me an April. April is a no. Okay, back straight. Will it be May?
And out they go.
There you go. Okay, so we're looking at May. Now, that may be when a contract is signed in May, but they're talking about that quarter. So, which is actually fourth quarter financial year. Sorry, I was calling it second quarter of the year, but it's the fourth quarter of the financial year. Okay. Annie, there's one there from Gail. Did you see that one on the screen? Halfway through her healing, she seems to be getting that message. And do you think that that's true?
Gail, can I come back to you because I saw Nate's message come up. I've got cards in my hand, but as soon as I'm done with Nate, I'll come back to you. Nate, what your cards say is ancestral patterns break the chain, rewrite the future. Get grounded. what it's saying is that you are an empath. You are highly sensitive. What you need to do is you need to connect with nature. Now, I happen to know, because you are on my Facebook page, that you are very good at that. You're really good at connecting with nature. But this break the chain stuff, this is about, I don't know what the hell it's about. You might know what it's about. It's about maybe preconceived notions. Break the chain and get yourself grounded. The third one says you are not doing this on your own. You have helpers in the subtle realms. And that's a picture. If you can see, like, it's all of your guides, all of most of the people around you, I feel, are family.
Mm,
Um, Not necessarily guides that you don't know, but most of the feeling around you is family. And this is really strange, but the energy that's coming to you from family is really, really strongly feminine. So
mm,
it feels very much like it's Kathy and Mum rather
yeah.
than a male energy. There's
Mhm,
also one more female energy that's in that mix. And I don't feel like that's a relative. I feel like that's a woman who was a friend who at some point you maybe have lost. But you're definitely, there's helpers, there's these ladies, all these women that are around you helping you. So you're not doing this on your own. So
mhm,
I do feel, um, no idea what your signs are, a grandma. Maybe that's who it
yep,
is, because I definitely have the three ladies. Um,
mhm,
so on the thing about the signs, for you, I just feel it's very much about. I'm from Glasgow, Nay. I have no filter. Stop faffing around and just be who you are.
I was
You
wondering
don't
what was
need
going to come
to
out of your
be.
mouth.
You shush. You don't. Shh, don't talk while I'm interrupting. You don't need to be anything other than who you are. And your energy is just absolutely glorious.
It
But
is.
sometimes you don't see that. And if I
Mm,
was in Sydney, I would smack you with a wet fish and tell you, wake up to yourself. You are, look at that, you're being nice to me, but that's just because I haven't said this yet. Um, you are not just enough. Who you are is more than enough. And
mhm,
lots of people around you recognize that. The
mhm.
only person that I don't want the wet fish, the only person that doesn't seem to recognize that is you. So put your big girl pants on and just go for it. I'll hand you
Mm.
over to my diplomatic, tactful
Yeah,
friend.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
I'm
and
done.
and and Nate, I'm not even going to go to the rods on this one. I'm just going to give you exactly what came through. So, uh, well, Kathy said, well, you wanted the answer as to why I was there, what I was there for, and she thanks everyone for the synchronicity of allowing that question to come through and also the answer to come through. And yes, very much grandma's around as well, but. With your light shining and staying in that space, trust what you are getting. You are reading the signs, and then you go, oh, yeah, but I don't know if I read that right. So you're second guessing it and you're putting a block. So just let it flow. Just go with the flow, let it happen, and you are recognizing those signs for you, and it is moving you forward. And then you'll go, oh, I don't know if it really was a sign. And they want you to stop doing that. They want you to stay in the flow. So I'm going to go straight with that. And I'm sorry, I couldn't just do that with a yes, no.
If spirits had wet fish, they'd smack you with one. That's all I've got to say.
lucky, Kathy didn't like fish. You'd be in trouble.
Smack you with a dishcloth.
So I'm just trying to go back and see.
He's being smacked.
Oh, where was Gail's? Okay, so Gail's question. I think I'm halfway through my healing. I seem to be getting that message. Do you think that's true?
Okay. female power. For me, this is all about female power and grounding. Um, again, it's all about focusing on the positive. Um, what this is saying is that you have the power to heal yourself. The second card, problems resolved. The third card, laughter. So yes, you're nearly there. Things are going to get better. Once you're better, there'll be a whole lot more joy in your life. But you have the power within you to help heal yourself.
Let's go. I just asked for the connection of my guides and angels. Thank you. You take it to the center. Thank you. And Gail's question, is she halfway through her healing? Okay, they've gone to a no there, Gail, and I'm going to ask another question because sometimes they will answer directly the question that's asked. Is she more than halfway through her healing?
Yeah, that's the question I would have said. The minute it said no, I thought, no, she's not halfway through it. She's nearly there. Her problems are nearly over.
Yeah, so there you go.
That's exactly where I would have gone.
Oh, thank you. They've gone right. Yep, that's it. We've answered. So there you go, Gail. And there was a question down here, Annie, if you saw this one. Priyanka.
Yeah, Priyanka, that's a lot of stuff for a 3 card. Hold on, let me see what comes up. Okay. What I've just got for you is this is about inner beauty. And this card says, look inside yourself. So this one is about you recognizing your skills and your basically your beauty and your goodness. I'm getting the feeling that at some point somebody stole your confidence or took your power away. And I think the time has come now to take it back. And what I got at the end of that for you was dreams coming true. But the rider on that one is that you need to maybe do some work on believing in yourself. If you need a career change, then maybe it's about time to, or you think you need to progress. Look inside yourself and actually sit down at the beginning of the year and think, what do I want to achieve by the end of this year? And don't just drift, because I do feel there's been a lot of drift. So it's in your hands to make your dreams come true. People hate readings like that, but I can't tell you what's not there.
Yep. So again, it's a hard one to do just with a short reading.
Yeah. And yeah, the other thing about this stuff though is that general questions are okay, but when we're hitting personal stuff, what you have to remember is there's a whole lot of other people online, and that this stays online, and anybody can kick into this. And that's why it's really important that we trust that we are acting in an ethical way and maintaining confidentiality. So general questions about career and are you on the right path? That's okay. But when it comes to really personal questions, I just don't feel comfortable answering them.
And Ritu, what I'd recommend is, Annie does provide one-on-one readings online. You can contact her through her Celtic Tarot page on Facebook. And if you go there, you can actually book a one-on-one reading with her. And that's what I would recommend to do, because that is more on a personal level. That, yeah, I agree, Annie. It's difficult when we do ones like that online.
Well, there's a whole lot of people listening, you know, and when
right.
I do my readings, I like to have one person with me. I don't want other people, even if they brought their friends, because sometimes people don't know what's going on in their friends' lives. And when I start laying it on a table, I never know. And even people who say, "Oh, it's okay, she knows all about me." Halfway through the reading, I'll say, "Are you comfortable with this?" And they say, "No, make her go away." You
Yeah.
know. So we've been on now for over an hour. So
Yeah.
I think we might kind of wrap it up a little bit.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. And
I'd like to say thank you to everybody for being with us, for asking your questions. We'll do this again. So again, if you have questions, pull them up and you know, but please respect what I've said and try to keep it really kind of vague and not too personal, you know, because it's just the wrong forum, the wrong forum. So thank you all for coming.
yes, thank you. And and I've been loving watching the chat and everyone's
Yeah.
interaction with each other as well. And our little community, you're all amazing. Leslie, our absolute pleasure. Come back and join us again. And I'm going to say that again. Please subscribe. Please hit the notifications so that you get notified when we go live. We
Please
are
like
doing
us.
yeah,
Please like us.
and if you're on YouTube, I know you're commenting in chat, but if you just put a comment in under the video for us as well, that helps us sort of get when people are searching for videos, they come up. So that helps us build our little community, and it's lovely to see new faces and other people joining us as part of these discussions and sharing this time and your stories as well. So that's great. So
We
thank you
will
so
see
much,
you.
everyone.
Yeah. And we'll see you in a fortnight. Have a
We'll see you
wonderful week.
then. Okay. Bye. Watch out for your
Bye.
synchronicities. Pay attention. Bye.
Bye.